In this video, let's continue our journey into enterprise software development and decision-making in those applications. So if you're familiar with Drules or Key, that's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about here, or else, don't worry, I'm going to show you everything step by step. And today the subject is testing. So I would like to show you how you can test and make sure that your application works as expected in this kind of scenario. And this is especially important now with AI because a lot of us don't know what's going on inside the AI little brain. So having an external check is certainly important. Let's see how to do that. So the app I'm building to demonstrate this concept is the Vehicle Insurance Broker app. It's under ProdBytes Insurance Hub on GitHub, so all the source code is there. And I'm trying to use the same software that you would probably see on this enterprise scenario. So it's a Java app with Vaadin as a web framework. And of course, you can use any framework you'd like, but this is what I'm using for this app. And I'm gonna get a quote, fill with random values, and let's see what I got. A 2024 Ford Explorer, and I had accidents and traffic tickets in the past. So let's get my quote, and it's 2,112 a year, and that was calculated based on the vehicle value estimated at 33,000 and the risk rate estimated at 6.4%, and that's why we got this yearly premium. So how was this calculated? That was not managed by my code, but by an external decision management service. And here I'm using Aladix Decision Control. I highly recommend you take a look at Aladix. Under the hood, it's the Drew and other projects that we know and love from the open source world, but with a lot of enterprise features that are important, such as security, observability, tracking, and so on. So I'll go to authoring here. And just to demonstrate, I'll delete my quote model and show you how easy it is to import a model. I'll just select the folder in which I have my files. That's directly from our source code. And I'll upload the entire folder. And of course, you can also draw and download the file from Decision Control, or just more simply ask AI to do it. So if you ask the AI assistant, it could be your preferred assistant, such as Cloud or Copilot, and it would code, because this under the hood is just code, but Aladix conveniently offers an AI assistant integrated with the decision control, so you can just ask whatever you want out of your model. And here I have two decisions. The first is the estimated value for the car, and I mapped that as a simple table. So based on the make, model, and year of the car, I'm gonna decide how much it's worth. So, and here our Ford Explorer 2024 at the price of 33 is what you see here. So, and again, now I want to talk about testing. And to test, I can just run this and say that I have a Ford Explorer 2024, and not surprisingly, it will compute the estimated value. And a cool thing here is that I can see this as a form like this or as a table, and put as many cases of input as I want to test. So I can add more tests here and also expect that those values are going to be matched. So if I ping this here as an expected value, it will ensure that this is 33. So for example, if I change the expected value to be 32, for example, and try to publish the model, I can already see it's red, but if I try to publish, the software is going to say that, oops, you shouldn't publish, test failed. So let's fix that and set to the correct value of 33. And save that. That's now passing. I can publish and, of course, use this table in my decisions. And that's used in another model here in the car quote. So here's another model for the risk that we're going to attach to this contract. So here, let me zoom this a little bit, perhaps. Not the table, but the model. So here we can see that my insurance premium is decided from the car estimated value, the age, the tickets, the mileage, and the accidents. Each of them is assigned the risk factor. I can add it here so you can see if it has an accident, this is the factors that are going to weigh in. And in the end, I have a calculation of the risk rate. And now it's a formula instead of a table. So you can use both mix and match expressions, tables, and other forms of calculation. So here I'm gonna run again a simple scenario. So I'm gonna run and check as a form. And let's say that I have that car of 33 with a mileage, let's say 500,000 kilometers for a 14-year-old with accidents and tickets, let's say. So in this case, we can see that our insurance premium is a bit higher, and the risk rate that I got is 7, and the risk index and the risk rate 0.82. So another thing we can do here is, again, set our risk index. And I want to create a rule, not that it's exactly 0.082, because you can see as the rules changed, or this can fluctuate. So perhaps I give a little more weight to the age or to the accidents or tickets, and in this way this may float. But I want to make sure that this doesn't surpass a given threshold, so it's not inviolable. So if I charge 20% of a car, the person is probably not gonna accept. So I'm gonna set a threshold, let's say at 15%, and make sure that is the expected value. So I can, again, edit this or pin it if you want, and set the expected value to be something different. So, why it's not giving me the edit? Let me try as a form and edit the risk rate, and I want this to be always lesser or equal to 0.115 or 15%. And I'll save the expected result, and this will always, again, validate this rule. And here we can see the expected value or the actual value from the evaluation of the model. And that's a useful thing to have. And again, we can run it and see the values going through the decision model. However, it can be a bit challenging for some types of tests to test in this way. So we sometimes need different testing tools for different needs, just like we have end-to-end tests, UI tests, performance tests, all sorts of tests. The more we test, the better, right? The more correctness we can ensure, better. So we can also do unit testing with tools like JUnit. So here in my code alongside the app, I have some tests set up here. So some just stimulating the model, but the interesting thing is here you can query your database, go through the data, assert things in the way that you'd like. So here in this one, I'm picking all the makers from this range of years, all the models by those makers, and calculating the premium automatically for each one and verifying that they don't surpass the viability threshold, which is by default 15%. So here I can execute directly on my IDE. The easiest way, I think it's going here to the testing perspective and just running the tests. This way, if there is any decision or any weight wrong or for any reason, one vehicle will have inviable value for the insurance, would get to know that. And right now we can see that all tests are passing. Life is good. And that's it for today. See you in the next one.